Oh my god, Elden Ring DLC only has 68 positive reviews, it's mixed. Aw, these noobs, they don't know how to get good at the game. Let's look at these negative reviews and see how bad these noobs are. Very nice. Most helpful reviews in the past today. Okay. Performance issues? What? Performance issues again? Oh my god, performance issues again? Why are you guys complaining about the game being too hard? More performance issues? More performance issues? More performance issues? These are the most helpful in the past day. We see people complaining about difficulty. Performance issues and difficulty complaining. Obviously this guy's a noob. Oh, a TLDR. This will be easy for me. DLC is too hard. That's fine. What? However, it runs like doo-doo. What? Another one complaining about the performance again? What the heck? Where are the people complaining about the DLC being too hard? I feel like that made my point, but let's talk about this, because I am tired of hearing online that the reason Elden Ring's DLC is getting so many bad reviews is because it is too hard. That is not the case, and it just pisses me off that no one just goes and looks at the reviews. So many people online, from just random people to big creators, are perpetuating this belief that the reason Elden Ring's DLC is getting such a bad review is because of the difficulty. But that is not true, and it only takes a simple look at the reviews, the negative reviews, to see why they are negative. The reason I dislike this and this makes me so mad is just because I don't like false information. I don't like false information being told to me. I feel like everyone can relate to that. But an even bigger problem, and one that should matter more, is when people say that the negative reviews are because of the difficulty, it ignores the fact that there are reviews that are giving actual criticism and actual problems. As you saw in the beginning, many of these issues and these negative reviews are actually coming from performance. And this is true. There's a big difference between the base game and the DLC's performance. I don't know what they did with the update or if it's just the DLC, but there is some performance difference. One of my favorite reviews is simply runs like you'd expect a FromSoft game to run, and that is so true. The PC versions of FromSoft games, I don't know if it's a port, I don't know what it is, but they always suck. They always suck. I don't know why, but they fucking suck. And when people say that these negative reviews are due to difficulty, it takes away from the fact that many of them are actually due to performance issues. There's a patch that will likely come out in about a week, and hopefully it will fix a lot of these performance issues, which is good because a lot of these people say in the reviews that they will change the review to a positive one if these performance issues are fixed. As I said, I dislike false information being fed to me, and that is the reason I'm making this video, so I can have the truth be known. And it bothers me a bit that we have a lot of massive creators that are saying the reason for these negative reviews is solely because of the difficulty. They don't bring up the other things like the performance issues. There's no other term for this, but it feels wrong to say, but it's a lack of journalistic integrity, because I know they're not journalists, but they're saying this information online and it's just false. They didn't go and look, because as I said, you just have to go look at the reviews and you'll see a mix of performance issues and also people saying that yes, it is hard. But you can't ignore the fact that many people are saying there are performance issues. I want to say that I cannot blame them because I did the same thing. If you look at my review, here, I'll show it right here. This is my review. I'm like, I can't believe many people are complaining about the difficulty when there are so many ways to make the game easy for you. So I put a positive review to counteract the negative reviews. But then I actually looked at the reviews and I was like, oh wait, there's actual problems and real criticism, valid concerns, and it's not just people complaining about the difficulty. And yet still, I am constantly seeing on any social media, any content creation platform, a bunch of people perpetuating this belief that the negative reviews are solely due to difficulty, when that is just not the case. The people who are talking about the negative reviews being about difficulty obviously think the game should have a higher rating. The game would have a higher rating if it didn't have all these other issues like performance issues. That's something you should be focusing on, because the game would have a higher rating if those things were fixed. So you should actually think about them and not just ignore them and say, oh, nope, everyone's complaining about difficulty. I feel like I've made my point on this front. Many of the negative reviews are actually due to other things that don't have to do with the difficulty. And anyone saying otherwise has not gone and looked at the Steam reviews themselves. The fact that these are Steam reviews is actually quite important. Right now the reviews are at 68% positive on Steam, but they're probably higher on Xbox and PlayStation. I don't know if they have a review system or whatever, but if they do, they will likely be higher than that. That is because the game is actually optimized to be running on PlayStation and Xbox, because there's only one piece of hardware they have to worry about. But when it comes to PC, there are many differences in the hardware. Now that doesn't excuse the fact that this doesn't run on 4090s and like high-end PCs, because there are a lot of people in the reviews that actually have high-end PCs and are still having problems. And I'm going to make a pretty crazy argument here, but if at max settings your game cannot run well on a high-end PC, what's the point? Because what PC is going to run that? Now, I have a mere 3060 Ti with a 5800X, so I am going to have stutters, but I'm also having stutters in many of the same places that other people are having, and they have higher end PCs. If you look at the reviews, you'll hear people that say they have a 4090 and they're having issues. And you don't even have to just look at the reviews. You can go to streamers and you can see there are some areas, certainly, where they are getting frame stutters. And yes, they may be streaming and stuff, but still, at the same time, it is a uniform thing that even with the person streaming, that factor is not likely the reason for these performance issues. In short, because such a big portion of the stream reviews are due to performance issues, the reviews would actually be quite higher and probably in the positive category, maybe not overwhelmingly positive category, but at least the positive category, if these issues weren't such a problem. But as previously stated, FromSoft has a really bad track record and continues to have a bad track record at their PC versions of their games. So when people cite the low review score on Steam, it is not low just because the game is hard. I will say, there are many reviews that say the game is too hard, but there are also a lot of reviews talking about other issues like performance, and those can be easily solved if they figure their shit out. I originally intended to make a video about the people complaining about difficulty, but when I saw these reviews, I was like, I can't possibly do that in good faith. I know that's wrong. I know the truth is that there's more to it than just people complaining about difficulty. So I'm going to give my closing thoughts, and then I do want to discuss difficulty. I looked at a lot of reviews. I spent my entire last night before I went to bed reading reviews, seeing what people thought. And many of the times they would complain either about the difficulty or the performance. Those are like the big chunks. But there's also other stuff and other criticism that was in there. And once again, when people claim that the only complaint is that it's difficult, we forget these other complaints. Like one of the complaints that I saw a lot was that the game was too empty. There's this really big map, but it's not dense. There's not a lot of stuff in it. And I kind of agree on that point. I feel like when you look at other areas in the base game, there's a lot of density to them. There's a lot of stuff to do. Like the only place I could think of is the Mountaintop of Giants is kind of like, it's kind of big. It's not very dense. There's not a lot of stuff to do. Or that when you run around, you have to be on torrent to actually go to places, because walking on foot, you're going to be walking through a bunch of empty space for quite a while. That's just one of the many things you'll find if you look through the reviews. I have one final thing I want to say about the reviews, and that is that a lot of them came down to, did they have fun or not? The negative and positive was, did I have fun? And I kind of think that's a pretty good metric. These people are not gaming journalists. They're not looking objectively at like, oh, what's good about this game, what's not. They're looking at, did I have fun? And kind of, why would you want them to be gaming journalists? They're just average gamers just trying to play the game and have fun, because that's why we play games, right? So I really can't fault them for giving a negative review when they did not enjoy the game. So now let's talk about difficulty. And firstly, I want to mention why difficulty is a part of this discussion. Of course, in the reviews, there are people complaining about difficulty, but I think the truth is that people saw that a FromSoft game, or the DLC to be exact, was getting bad reviews, and people automatically assumed it was because of difficulty. And my proof to this is that if people actually read the reviews and then talked about why the reviews were mixed, they would have also brung up the other things like performance issues and all the other things that people criticize the game about. Now for the juicy part. Do I think the DLC was hard? I think it was pretty hard compared to the base game, but I also don't think it was super duper hard. Truthfully, I don't care if it's hard or not. At the end of the day, it's beatable. I beat it once on my new game character that was spec'd for Arcane. Arcane doesn't do good against a lot of things. It does do good against other things. And I'm currently running on New Game Plus 7, where I'm pulling out all the stops. And I want to talk about all the stops you can pull out if you are having trouble. By doing this, I hope I can show you that the DLC is not hard, because I don't think the DLC is hard. I think the DLC is hard relative to the base game, which most people are attuned to, because Elden Ring sold 10 million copies like a week into launch. Dark Souls 3 took 4 years to sell 10 million copies, so this game is obviously bigger. There are a lot of people that aren't familiar with the Soulsborne type games. As I said, I pull out all the stops when I'm fighting bosses. That's the thing I love to do. I love to pull out all the stops, and it's like, oh shoot, I still have to get good and beat the boss. I can't pull out just my Mimic tier. I can't put on a bleed build. That's not gonna cut it. I need to do everything, and that's what I love. And I'm gonna tell you what you can pull out. And I know a lot of people feel like it's cheesy to do certain things, like use a Mimic tier and stuff like that. And that's up to you. You have to find the balance between what you find is cheesy and what you find as a satisfactory victory. In my opinion, the game intends for you to use the Spirit Ashes, so Mimic Tier is on the table, because the DLC literally has a leveling system for them. Just like there's the Skadoosh fragments, there's the Revered Spirit Ash fragments. The game intends for you to use Spirit Summons, but if you don't want to, that is your decision. Whether that is cheesy or not is up to you. So yeah, the first way to make stuff easier for you is, especially for bosses, to use your spirit summons, and if you can summon NPCs, I love summoning the NPCs, I think it's part of the story, so I always summon them, unless I'm doing a challenge. But doing this might be the most impactful way to make it easier, because when that NPC hits the boss, it'll take the boss's aggro, allowing you to have some time to breathe and heal up, so you don't have to worry about trying to heal while also trying to dodge the boss. Another thing specifically for the DLC is look for those Skadoosh tree fragments and look for those revered spirit blessings, because those directly impact how much damage you deal and how much damage you take. Before the DLC was released, we learned about these by being told that they are like Sekiro's level system. Now the thing is, Sekiro's leveling system has you defeat bosses to get stronger. You don't get these fragments just by defeating bosses. You can go out and explore. Because this is an open world game, part of the design philosophy is for you to go out and explore. So those fragments you have to find through exploring, not just going through and boss rushing. I feel like I had more ways you could get stronger and make it easier, but I can't think of them, so my last way is just change up your build, find consumables maybe that can help you out. There are so many ways you can change up your build. Maybe you go to a cheesy build, but I mean, if you just want to defeat the boss, a cheesy build doesn't matter because you're doing what you want, you're getting what you want out of the fight. Use defensive talismans and maybe incantations, whatever. For every single type of damage in this game, there is a defensive talisman that negates a chunk of it. So go out, find those, and you can survive a lot longer. Surviving a lot longer does matter a lot more than you having 4 offensive talismans on, because it gives you more chances for mistakes and you can stay in the fight longer. Oh, also, on this topic, level up your vigor. Your vigor should be 60. I mean, that's my opinion. I'm a 60 vigor guy. Some people are 50, some people are 70, but I'm a 60 guy. I think 60 is an adequate amount. It matters so much. If you're getting 1 shot or 2 shot, leveling up your health has a direct effect, whereas leveling up your damage doesn't matter as much in the DLC because you need the Skadoosh tree fragments in order to do more damage. There are other ways I just can't think of right now to make the fights easier. And you can do all these things before having to actually get good. I feel like I've said all there is I want to say in this video, and I have a few closing statements. One is that I think this DLC is 100% a 10 out of 10. I understand there are issues, and I have performance issues, and it makes me mad, but it's not enough to give this a negative review. I still think the game is quite enjoyable. And I know that there is a patch coming that will hopefully fix a lot of the performance issues, and it is very likely that there will be nerfs. Just like Radahn was nerfed in the beginning of the game because people were calling him too hard, a lot of people are calling this DLC hard, so it is very likely that even with all the ways I said that you can get stronger and make it easier, there are still going to be nerfs. With that being said, make sure to like, and if you are interested in more Elden Ring content, subscribe, and I hope you have a good day or night. See ya.